Hi guys, today we're going to have a look at a bit of a strange one. Last month I had a client come to me and say, we've had 5 engineers have a look at this issue and we've even involved TAC, but we can't seem to figure it out. So they were willing to pay for me as an additional resource. They paid for 5 days of my time. Now, if I was to resolve the issue in 1 day, I would still get paid for 5 days, which would be nice. But they were saying it's taken their engineers 3 months to actually look at this issue. And it's an snmpv version 3 issue, which at first I thought, that's a bit strange that you can't resolve that issue. But what it is at this organization, they had 2 of their senior engineers leave, and all the other engineers have had to take on those engineers' work along with their own workload. So they were a bit lacking in resource, and this is where the router coach services come in, because we provide like a proof of concept or troubleshooting for certain issues, an additional resource, like a contract role really. But whereas a contract, you'd probably have to provide them like a contract for like 3 to 6 months. We're just going to come in and look at that particular issue. Another issue that they had is that they were 3 devices all interconnecting. You had your monitoring tool, which in this case, I'm not sure what it was, SolarWinds, PTRG, Nimsoft, one of them, that was dealt with by the monitoring team. And then you had your firewall, which is an ASA, which is dealt with the SOC team. And then you had your network device, which is a router, which was dealt with by the network team. So what I'm going to do, I'll probably do an animation just to show you how it's set up. Now, all of these issues are good when you're doing it individually, but when you've got to get all of those 3 teams together, that could be a bit of a issue. I said I would have a look at it for them. So what we're going to do, I will use 3 machines. This will be my Ubuntu machine, which I will start up. I will also start up an ASA. And I will also start up IOU. Okay, IOU's already started up. In future, when I'm doing these videos, I will start using batch scripting as well. So this is our Ubuntu machine. Let's close this, make that bigger. Oops, sorry. Now we're going to start up our ASA. We will be starting up our IOU machine here. Now, if you look at the diagram, what I've done, we're only going to be using this one, CE1, and it's connecting to Internet 1. We need to make sure that all of these devices can communicate with each other. So what I will do for the ASA, I will just look at it. Alright, so that's connecting to VM1, which is good and correct, I think. Our Linux machine is also connecting to VM1. And what we should do when we're looking at our IOU, our second interface, so the first interface is connecting to NAT so that we could log into a web browser. And the second interface, which should be Ethernet 1, is connecting to VMnet 1. Let me just double check that. Okay, so everything looks good. So to start up the machines, I need to go to Internet 1, which is this machine, and also CE1. What I will do, I will copy this address here, copy the link address, then open up PuTTY to telnet to this, just to find out the port number. So that's the IP address that we opened up IOU in our web browser. We need to put in 2001 as the port number. Good. Our router is connected. So they had an issue. They had an issue on 3 of their firewalls and 1 router, and their monitoring software is just an inherent issue by the sounds of it. Let's make that a bit bigger. Behavior appearance. Make that 12. Apply that. Okay, that's good. We have a router. We have our Ubuntu machine. Don't want to report that. And now just to get this ASA. Okay, so the ASA looks like it's already been configured to connect to a serial link. So all I have to do, and in another video I'll explain how I done that. There are certain commands because that you need to put in to get that to operate. So again, I'll open up an sorry, before I do that, let me go to the ASA settings, take the command to open it up in a serial terminal window, open up PuTTY again. This time we go into serial, paste that in, and that should, come on, let's not start playing silly. Change those settings, appearance, change, make it 12, okay, apply, good. So I thought this was a brand new ASA, but it looks like it's one that I've used previously already. Let's make that full screen. No. Naughty ASA. Come on, behave yourself. It's not really the ASA's issue, it's me. Alright. So I think there we are, that's good to go. So the first one that I'm going to configure is the Ubuntu machine. And I'm going to open up a terminal window. Make that full screen. Let's see what IP addresses we have here. IP-CA. So it doesn't look as though we have any IP address for this interface, and I presume that ENS33 is the one that's going to our local machine or going to the internet, and so we want to configure this ENS sudo IP address add 172.19.20.1, which will be the server address for the device, which is ENS38. Okay, put the password. And we can see that this has added this address. We'll ping it to make sure, but basically we're pinging our own local device. Yep, that's good. Let's see what IP addresses we have on the router first. Nothing. So the router will be on the same subnet interface E00. I'm going to give it an IP address of 172.19.20.10/24. And then we're going to, okay, let me just make sure I can ping the server. Yes, I can. So we're going to do the snmpv version 3 configuration on the router first. And what I will do, let me just exit out of this. From here, the first thing I will do is snmp server. We're going to add our group, which is going to be called router coach, obviously. We're going to use version 3. Now we've got 3 options here. We've got auth, which is a group using the auth no priv, no auth and priv. And so let's just have a look what they actually mean by that. And we can see here when we say the snmp version 3 agent supports the following: no auth, no priv, means it's going to communicate without authentication and without privacy. AuthNoPriv is going to communicate with authentication, and the protocols used are MD5 and SHA, but without privacy. And obviously the third one must be authentication and privacy. So you could use MD5 and SHA for authentication, or DES or AES for privacy. We're going to use the highest level, which is Priv. So now we know that Priv is authentication and also privacy. Okay, that will be it. Then we're going to specify an SNMP user. SNMP server user. Going to be Ibrahim. He's going to be a member of the router coach group. We're going to use v3. Our authentication is going to be SHA. Let's use the password of test. And our privacy is going to be AES. Let's use 256, highest one, and also a password of test. Good. Okay, configuring SNMP version 3 user. Excellent. And we're going to use our host. So SNMP server host is going to be 172.19.20.1. It's going to use version 3. It's using priv. So it says here, if you're using version 1 or 2, the community string, or if you're using SNMP version 3, the username. So our username is Ibrahim. Alright, let's have a look. Do show run include SNMP. Now there's something to note here. Even though I've done 3 lines of config, we could only see the group and the host configuration here. If you want to actually see the parameters for the SNMP user, what we need to do is do show SNMP user. Do show SNMP user. And we can see that the username is Ibrahim, the authentication is SHA, and the privacy protocol is AES-256 with a group name of router coach. So what I would need to do, router coach, let's log in. Now from our Linux terminal, we're going to do something called SNMP walk. You probably have to install SNMP, but I've already installed mine here. SNMP walk, we're going to use version 3. It's going to ask for what level we're going to use. The level we're going to use is AuthPriv. Oh, sorry, excuse you. AuthPriv. The user is going to be Ibrahim. It's going to be authenticating with SHA. And the password is going to be test. And the privacy that we're going to use is AES. And that password is that password is also going to be test. And it's going to host 172.19.20.10. Enter. Passphrase chosen is below the length requirement. We need to have a minimum of 8. Okay, that's okay. Let's do that again. Change that. So the minimum password, so let's change this password to something a bit more suitable. Do show SNMP user. Details are good. All right, let's try that again. But this time I will change the passwords. Let me just copy that rather than type that out every time. Good. And the same here. Unknown object identifier. Did I do something wrong? Oh yeah, okay, let's try it again. Unknown object identifier, sub ID not found. Maybe I've done it with a space, which it shouldn't be. Alright, let me go all the way back. Just get rid of this space. Oh yeah, that's better. And these are similar to the credentials that they were actually using. So it's saying no response from 172.19.20.10. Let me just make sure I can ping it again. And it's still pingable. So what I need to do, I probably need to run a debug here now, just to make sure I can see what's going on. And the best debugs for SNMP are debug SNMP packets and also debug SNMP headers. We should be able to see what's going on. So the debug is on, so we're watching this screen now. Let me just get rid of the ASA for a bit. Doesn't make any difference. Alright, going to put it here. We're going to run that command again, the snmp walk, and this is where snmp walk is really, really good. But you need, if you're really going to be troubleshooting this in the workplace, you need to have the people who are on the monitoring team and the people who are on the network team coming together, or you need to have access to a Linux box which is directly accessible to the Cisco router. So it's a lot easier here in my home lab environment than it would be in a real world environment. But the theory is exactly the same. Alright, snmp walk, let's have a look. And we've got something coming up here. So we can see that we're using a version 3 packet, good. Version 3. Security level no auth. Our authentication is SHA and this password, but it's saying it's coming across with no authentication. I have seen this. Well, actually, I know the answer to this because I've been working on it for the last couple of days. The issue is on Cisco routers, sometimes they don't like on Cisco devices, not just Cisco routers, sometimes they don't like to have a privacy encryption of AES-256. They actually prefer 128. So we're going to try that now and see if that works. But I'm just going through the troubleshooting steps that I would do. So here, instead of having AES-256, let's change that to 128. Confirm. Do show SNMP users. So now we can see that the AES has been changed to 128. And once it's been changed to 128, let's run the command again. And we see that our SNMP version 3 is successful. And our security level is privacy and everything else is working fine. This is the first issue that I resolved. That was actually a more difficult issue than what we're going to move on to next, which is the ASA. For me personally, I'm jumping on the ASA. Okay, so I said it excludes unassigned and there's no interfaces that have been assigned. So first let me add an address for the ASA. We're going to use interface G00. Now to confirm that this is the correct interface that I'll need to be using, what I will do, I'll just say show interface G00. I need to make sure this MAC address here is the same as the MAC address connected to my VMware. So go back to VMware. settings, and it's got to be this one. Yeah, so advanced 000C291BFA81. It is the correct one. Good. And this just helps you resolve any connectivity issues. Alright, so we're going to make it an inside interface. Name if inside. IP address is going to be 172.19.20.20 /24. We're going to allow pings. ICMP permit any inside. Maybe it should be like inside with a capital. Right, okay. Alright, that's better. And now let's see if we can ping our no route to the host. Okay, what I can do just to see why this is failing, I could do a packet trace. So if I say packet tracer input inside 172.19.20.20, not sure if I have to put the mask as okay. Inside, oh, for ICMP, the source address is 172.19.20.20. Okay, so I need to remember the ICMP types. I have it here. We want echo replies and echo requests coming in. It was 0 and 8, 0, 8. And the destination is 172.19.20.1. Ah, okay. Something very simple. The interface is down. All I need to do is make the interface up. Interface G00. And just to make sure, show int IP brief. Yeah, the interface is down. No, shut the interface. Interface is up. Try the ping again. Ping 172.19.20.1 and it's pingable. Excellent. Now we've got connectivity to the server. What we need to do is the SNMP configuration. SNMP server group. Again, it's going to be called router coach. v3 priv. We're going to create the host, not the host, the user. Ibrahim belongs to router coach. Using v3. The authentication is going to be SHA. We're going to use that funky password again. Alright, forget the funky password, let me just put password. The privilege is going to be AES, and this time we're going to use 128. Alright, let me just use 256, see if it works on this. And we're going to use the SNMP host. So the SNMP host to the inside interface. The host address is 172.19.20.1, the address of the server. We're going to be using version 3. Ibrahim. That should be correct. Let's try this snmp command again. Obviously we've got some bits to change, so this time we're going to an ASA and it's 2020. Now this is just password. Again, it looks like we're having some issues here. Now we can't do a debug for snmp on the ASA, so what we will do here, we will do a capture. I will do capture interface inside. I'll try the snmp again. And while I'm trying that, let me run the capture and see. Show cappy. So it's connecting again via snmp, but this time I think we know what the issue is. So we're going to jump onto the ASA. And on the ASA, I think we can actually see the user details, but they're going to be all encrypted. Yeah, we can see that the passwords are all encrypted here. I don't think there's any way to actually get that information. If you were to lose that information, then you would just have to put it all back in again. Let's change the AES to 128. Try our snmp walk again. And there we go. snmp walk is successful, and this is now being monitored through snmp version 3. That's just a little one. I think every Friday or Saturday I'll be trying to bring out one of these troubleshooting tickets when clients come to us. And maybe if you're a client and you need an additional resource, just ping us an email, info@routercoach.com, and we'll do a proof of concept lab, put it all together for you and hopefully help you to resolve any of your issues. Okay guys, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.